Hi, Steve Hart here. I wanted to share with you something that's on my heart today. Today on Facebook, I posted a link to an article that was reading 12 reasons why old souls have such a hard time finding love. And there are 12 things here in this article that they point out, and I can relate to them, and I want to talk to you about them and my own experiences. Um, and so maybe I could help you along with helping myself express my own feelings and thoughts. Um, the first one that they point out is that the old souls, and by the way, those of you who are listening to this, and those of you who I am friends with on Facebook, most likely were old souls. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we've probably been here before. We've been here numerous times, and we come back into physical form for a particular reason. And it's not really, we're not always conscious of what that is until we work through our own attachments to this world as we came into this world through these physical bodies. And so sometimes we understand um, who we are, and it takes a little while sometimes. Anyway, so the question is, why does it take so long for us to find a relationship? And that's what we're going to talk about. So, old souls, they have a strong sense of identity, number one. They know who they are, which means they also specifically know what they want to do and what they do not want to do, and what they want in a partner, what works and what doesn't work. And in my early years, I would have to say that I think I had a higher sense of awareness than most people. But throughout the years, it's taken me a while to have this strong sense of identity. I remember asking a lot of questions and not wanting to feel vulnerable. That's my personality type. I'm afraid of opening myself up, that people would see me as being weak. Um, and that has changed over the years. I have learned to be more vulnerable and more open, and knowing that more people love me because of that. So, yes, there is a strong sense of identity, and we do know what it is we want in a relationship. At the same time, every relationship is an adventure. Every relationship is an opportunity to have new experiences, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Number two, left unchecked, their hyper intuitiveness can wreck a relationship. They're often prone to overthinking because of how deeply sensitive they are, and their capacity to worry and to make assumptions can break a relationship, and that is true. But I have learned, once again, over the years, to stay focused in the now moment and not to focus on the past or worry about the future in any relationship. So, in every relationship that I'm in, at whatever degree that is, be it an acquaintance or a friendship or a partner who's I'm intimate with, the point is to not overthink it, and to because we have this intuitiveness about us about staying connected to spirit, and that's what this is all about. I understand that, but when we look at the partner and we begin to question the relationship, we can sometimes allow that to get in the way. And so what I've learned to do is to back off and to not try to figure it out, but to stay in the present moment. Right now, what is my relationship with that person? Okay. Number three is many are in the throes of twin flame relationships. They're attached or are with people who are not their forever people. Um, yes, I've had many relationships throughout my lifetime, even starting as a small child, and I have to say that I've been blessed to still be in contact with some of those women, and it's been a joy to be able to have that. Um, in my first marriage, obviously I went into that marriage thinking that this was going to be a lifetime relationship, and I remember the year before my divorce, uh, my wife and I observing the people in our church fellowship that were going through divorces and how shocked we were what was happening. And little did we know that a year later we were experiencing the same thing. It was very devastating, very not easy. It was very difficult to go through that divorce. I was the one that initiated it, um, and it was not easy, especially because I had 3 children from that first marriage. Um, but when I went through that divorce, I remember looking at my mom and dad, who'd been married all their life, over 50 years, um, and saying to them, "How is it you do it? How is it you're able to keep this relationship ongoing for all your life?" It was obvious to me that it was not meant to be. And even to this day, as I look back upon it, I begin to see how my relationships were not going to be forever relationships. Then I went on to my second marriage. Yes, I was married a second time and a third time. So I've been married 3 times. And I've had a few relationships since then with ladies who I've been in love with. The point I'm making is every time I went into that relationship, obviously I wanted it to be a forever relationship, and I've had to learn that they're not. They're not always forever. They're only in the now moment. So in my last relationship, I remember making an agreement with the lady saying, in this now moment, my intention is to be with you. I can't tell you what's going to happen 6 months, a year from now, or I have no idea, or what's to come. We don't know, and it appears to me that since we're an old soul and we've been here before, that these relationships are like chapters in my life, and each chapter almost represents another lifetime. So instead of living multiple lifetimes, uh, I'm I am doing that in one lifetime. I'm having multiple experiences through one lifetime, and the evolution of my consciousness has risen as a result of it. Each relationship has brought me to a better place. I have no regrets of any of the relationships I've been in. I am grateful for the women that I've been with and what they have taught me and what I've learned through those relationships. But they're not forever, and each one is moving to the next, bringing me up to the next level of my own consciousness, and I want to share more with that in a little bit. Let's go on number 4. Number 4 is they often have a greater purpose that must be attended first, one that love would distract them from. That is true. Um, I, I will have to say, finding what it is my purpose has probably been the driving force within my life. And I had a strong inkling as to what that was when I was about the age of 10. Um, and and it's been wonderful to have this experience, to have this sense of purpose. Now, obviously, my awareness of what that is has evolved and has become much clearer to me as I've gotten older. But my number one priority has been my sense of purpose above my relationships. And as a result of it, my relationships have suffered. I will have to say, my first wife was the one who encouraged me to pursue my career as an entertainer, and I thank her for that. And my second wife came to me, met me through that business, and it's been interesting to see how I've been able to position myself in my relationships by keeping my sense of purpose out front, and knowing that this relationship with this woman I was with at the time was very valuable and very important to me, and honoring that relationship in that now moment. But when those relationships were over, and what I call when the assignment is done, knowing how to move on to the next relationship or the next period of time in my life is not always easy, And I'm going to talk more about that in a second too. Now, number 5, they have not settled for anything less than a soulmate love. Okay, I have a problem with the soulmate concept. I'm more open to a soul family than a soulmate, instead of just being one. Now, maybe there is for you to have just one relationship throughout a lifetime. There's nothing wrong with that. But in my experiences, it has been that the friends that I have, the relationships I have had, have all been part of my soul family. There are people who have played different roles in my lives, previous lives, and these are spirit beings whom I'm in relationship with, be it here in the physical or in the spiritual. I know this sounds rather metaphysical, in which it is, I have to admit. So, number 6, while many can bring them passion, few can bring them compatibility. And that is true too. But at the same time, I want to talk about that. So, compatibility, yes, compatibility is important. I remember when I first discovered Barbara DeAngel's book, it was titled, Are You the One for Me? That book helped me understand an awful lot about relationships. And in that book, she asked the question for you to define what it is you were looking for. That way, when you saw the person, you would know whether or not they fit within that profile that you had created. In the profile, she also asked you to define what you would be willing to compromise on. And and that was an interesting adventure. Say, okay, I'm willing to go with this, but I'm not willing to go with that, and so there's some areas of compromising. Now, throughout my relationships, I have found a secret about compatibility and compromising. As I have evolved in my consciousness, every relationship requires courage to be able to believe in yourself, to believe that the person that you're in a relationship is being honest and authentic with you, and to believe that spirit is also present in this relationship. So those are very important for us to have in our awareness. Now, so the question is, am I compatible? Well, sometimes I may have not been compatible, or at least I felt like I wasn't compatible, only to teach me something about myself. And eventually I got to a point where, after I stepped from courage into neutrality, where it really didn't matter. I noticed that what I thought I was not compatible with, or compatible with, it really was not as important as I thought it was. And then I came into a level of acceptance. And now this is an act of love. This is an act of energy of the consciousness I was experiencing in coming into a relationship. And what I'm saying is, I've come to a place now where I don't require a high level of compatibility as much as I require an awareness of letting things be as they are. Now, obviously, that person that you're in that relationship has to be vibrating or in a level of consciousness that's similar to yours to be able to be at peace and to have joy in the relationship and to be able to mutual exchange. There has to be centered around love. There's no question about that. But and you've heard the old saying, "The birds of the feathers flock together," and it's true. We're attracted by our vibration. Now, we don't always agree, and there may be diverse opinions about various things in life, but what happens is where there's a coming together. And obviously, the ones, when we come together in our understanding and our acceptance, then there's much more joy and much more love, much more freedom in the relationship. And that's what I've had to do in learning how to be more accepting, and I'm not talking about being tolerant, but being accepting, getting to a place where you let your heart go and let whatever it is you're holding on to, well, I will tolerate that, but I'll not tolerate this. No, it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of learning to accept. Now, this, what I'm describing to you, is a higher level of consciousness that we can actually experience and have a transformation in our awareness of as to who we are. So, compatibility, yes. Compatibility, no. let's evolve. Let's move into a higher level of awareness. Number 7, they're less inclined to go out and meet people in modern ways. That is true. I have never been one to be your typical date type of guy. Even back when I was in high school, I didn't have any brothers that were older than me or that knew how to date, and I was never really taught. And that culture or that way of thinking was not something of my that I was skilled at. Let's put it that way. And as I got older, obviously I ended up getting married, and through my marriages, I was not, going out and meeting people. In between my marriages, I here again was limited as to how it is I would socialize, and now today I do very little socializing. I have my friends and my acquaintances, and then I make myself available, and it's particularly through the internet. I've avoided the dating services as much as I am as just being available through places like Facebook or social networking and so forth. And then through the meetings and places I go, and friendships and mutual friendships and so forth. But I'm not the one to go out to. I don't go out to bars. I don't go out and party thinking I'm going to find my mate. And most of us in the old souls would not do that. Number 8, they're natural healers and often attract people who need help, not love. Well, okay. This is here again is the area of my evolution. In my early years, yes, I think I found women attracted to me who were needing of help or needing some form of healing. And I'm not going to go into all the details about that, but I have had that experience. There seemed to be a repeat throughout my relationships of women who were needing help or healing, and I was able to do that. But I was joyful and willing and grateful to be able to do that with them. And with them, I shared with them my love, and they with me, and their gratitude. At the same time, that's not what all relationships are about. It's not about helping other people or trying to fix somebody or I'm going to change somebody, because that's definitely out the picture. That's not going to work. If you think that you're going to do that, you're making a mistake. So what ends up happening is we have a tendency to fall into those relationships, and there's really nothing wrong with that, as long as it's a healthy relationship, as long as there is reciprocity, and let's put it this way, I learned, in my opinion, just as much from them or through the experience I had with these women, that I'm grateful for everything that they gave me, as much as I gave to them. Okay, so number 9. They dislike the game. Dating is inherently exhausting, and old-spirited persons, it doesn't interest us at all. And in fact, I think that we're going through a shift in consciousness. The whole world is, and what we used to call dating, that old paradigm, is shifting. It's not your typical. If you're in that level, that's fine. But if you're having that experience, but I don't. My opinion about the relationships is it's based upon that alone, building friendships and relationships, and a trusting issue. It's not about trying to play the game, going out and looking for the meat. Jeez, sounds rather vulgar, doesn't it? Number 10, their standards are sky high. They expect a lot from themselves, and so likewise they expect a lot from their partners. And while this is a great thing, it's another quality that has kept them in check, and it's more important for them to be able to accept the qualities that aren't deal breakers than to just to write a person off just because they're imperfect. The point is this is true. I expect a lot of myself. because that's the only way I can find my joy and happiness. Because and I do the same thing in my relationships. And when people aren't able to give me that, or I'm not able to witness that in a relationship, I back off and I let them be. Now, I don't try to go in and change them or tell them what to do or whether they're wrong. I used to do that, not anymore. I've learned how to let them be and let them adjust to their own guidance, their own self-awareness. Is to, at the same time, if they ask me, I'm willing to share what it is I have to share with them. But the most important thing is to be authentic in your relationship, to communicate. I think communication is very difficult for some of us, and it takes time, it takes effort, it takes a certain amount of determination to communicate and to learn how to communicate. And so, yes, so we do have high standards. So number 11, they have baggage. The people who have developed their inner selves quickly did so for a reason, and they had to cope, and they had to grow, and they had to learn. And yes, oh my God, I could. That's one of the things I've experienced throughout my relationships, is sharing with the current relationship my past experiences. Now, I don't bring in the baggage, meaning I want to leave it back in that relationship. At the same time, I want to share my stories, but see, they're just stories. I don't have to, they only have meaning to what I give them in this now moment, in today's moment. So what ended up happening is I've let go of telling my stories too. I'm still learning this part of it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, as I said before, I'm grateful for the past relationships I have, so I do share some of the benefits I've had in my relationships. But I don't bring up the old baggage, as to say, and I'm not hanging on to it. I've learned how to let go. So number 12 is they feel fear as intensely as they feel love. The degree in which they love something is proportionate to how much they fear losing it and not being good enough for it. I have learned to let go of that fear throughout my relationships. Since I've had multiple relationships, obviously I have suffered some of this. And losing a relationship is very, very difficult. And the reason why it's difficult is because when we come into a relationship, we have this idea that when we're in this relationship, that we own the other person or they own us. There's this paradigm in our society where when you come into a relationship, I'm just talking about even a dating relationship, that there's some kind of that you own me or you owe me, it's caused a great deal of difficulty in our understanding who we are. We don't own anybody. We only own ourselves. And everything that I give in a relationship is a gift. You don't owe me anything back. Now, I've had to learn how to live this experientially. And so through my past few relationships, I'm still fairly close to these women as friendships. My third marriage, I'm still friends with my third ex-wife and my past girlfriend. The point is that we've been able to maintain a friendship because there's not this anger or angst or frustration because I have lost this relationship. Actually, it was more of an encouragement. Now, don't get me wrong, I was shocked. On all of my divorces, I was rather taken when my wife told me she was leaving me. And yes, there is. I went through a period of adjustment, but she said to me, "I want to maintain a friendship with you." And I said, "Well, if you can do that, then we will." So we did. She was able to help me to go through that awareness and raise my awareness to a level where I'm able to do that. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is the fear of losing is really our attachment to the individual or to things within the world or possessions, sometimes we stay in a relationship because we want to save the house or save the children. We think that sometimes that the children are ours, they are our responsibility, but we also have this mentality that the children are not going to be able to survive or do well. Well, that's not true at all, at least not in my situation. Um, all three of my children have gone on and done very well, but I and their mother had to work at that. We had to give them the encouragement and support them, and we still did that even though our relationship had ended. Um, and now, my children say to me, "Dad, I can see why you guys are divorced because I can't see you and Mom together today." But lately she's herself has raised her awareness, and she's doing fairly well too. So the object is, when you do go through a split up, when you go through a divorce in a relationship, is to make it easier for the next to move on, for the other person to move on, not make it difficult. Through my last divorce, last two divorces, we basically worked it out on our own without having to go through a court. And what I'm trying to say is, we decided how we were going to go about it, and it's much easier that way than trying to fight and feel like, oh, you owe me, and all the ugly stuff. So let me talk a little bit about the current. Right now, all of us, all these old souls, are going through a shift in our consciousness. All of us are. And our relationships are important to help us go through this shift. To whatever degree of friends you have, uh, and whatever degree of intimacy that you have, all of it is to help us to grow. And so I don't put boundaries up anymore like I used to. Now I sense the vibrational exchange. I do sense that. Before I have to be comfortable with that before I can be in a friendship or be intimate with a woman, because I'm not going to open myself up to negative energy, and I don't encourage you to do the same thing. I encourage you to be with people who you feel a closeness in spirit and in love with, and here again, it it can be a friendship love. What I'm trying to say is, we don't. We're moving into a day and age where marriage is what we call marriage is not what it was made out to be. In fact, the government has taken control of marriage, and it costs you money to get married. It costs you money to get divorced. You heard the old saying, "Well, love is grand, and divorce is about 10 grand." The point is let's cherish and value the relationships we have, and also at the same time honor the level of consciousness and awareness that each one of us has, and help us to grow and understand and have loving experiences. And I want to talk about intimacy here for a second. We some people believe, well, if you kiss a lady, that you're being intimate with them. Well, you are, and if you end up making love with them, you're being intimate. But intimacy is not just physical; it is also mental and spiritual, and even in the physical. I mean, if I'm in the same room with you, we're being intimate because you and I are breathing the same air. If I touch you or you touch me, I don't care if it's shake hands or give each other a hug, there's a degree of intimacy that's going on. So let's be careful. Let's be aware how that we're afraid of intimacy, and let's open ourselves up to what that is. Now, I'm not saying, just open up, anything goes. I'm just saying be aware and enjoy the intimacy that we have with one another. because we are spiritual beings in human form. And in spirit, we're all connected together. We're all part of oneness. So when I look into your eyes, I look into your soul and look into your spirit, I see God. I see myself in you. So that intimacy is real. And all I have to do is begin to learn how to let go of some of the fears I have. You know, a lot of us are avoiding relationships because we've been hurt. And it's not that we don't trust the next person that comes along. We don't trust ourselves because I'm afraid, well, if I made a bad decision in those past relationships, I'll do it again and I'm going to get hurt again. Well, let me tell you, you need to heal from that. You need to let that go. You need to forgive yourself, forgive the person, whatever you perceived was a negative experience in that relationship. Let that go and let the love come back within your heart and love that person for who they were, what they taught you, and what you got out of that relationship. And trust yourself that in the next relationship and every friendship that you have, that you will be safe in having that relationship. Well, I've talked enough. I've gone a lot longer than I thought I was. I guess I had more to share than I thought I did. So anyway, I hope that this has helped you. Those of you old souls out there, I'm celebrating life with you. We're here for a purpose, and our purpose is to help the collective consciousness of all mankind and Mother Earth to come to a higher level of awareness and to find this new experience that we're coming into. So, I love you. Namaste.